Hello friends and welcome to the Crypto Stacker channel. My name's Dean. If you're watching my videos for the first time, please know I only make them for entertainment, education, and for community building in the crypto space. This video is about Terareum and today is Terareum Tuesdays, you guys. It's a day that I always try to make sure I release content and talk about what's going on with Terareum for better or for worse, but most of the time it seems to be for better here lately, and today, no exception. A massive day for Terareum and a huge AMA this morning. A great chance for us to get a look at what's going on inside the minds of the developers of the Terareum project. A big article released today, and then a wild ride when it comes to what's going on with the trading, the volume for Terareum. We'll take a look at all of that today. But as you can see here, Terareum down about 13%, and most of that actually a pretty good recovery after what was a monster sell that happened. Looks like right almost immediately after today's AMA. And so my suspicion here is that you have people that were waiting on the launch of Terapool, hoping to get a really good pump. They watched the AMA today or were watching to see what kind of indicators they could get from the development team in terms of big nuggets or maybe some kind of a big bomb drop that might give the price a good pump. And when they didn't get either one of those, they decided to make a big sell. So you can jump into Etherscan and go back here about 10 hours. Here is that sell. Ended up being about $213,000 worth of Terareum being sold. Of course, they would have paid 9% of that, or close to $20,000 in fees making that sell. But still, that is a really, really large transaction. And because it was a sell transaction rather than a buy transaction, it definitely had an effect on the price of Terareum, which was hovering right around 80s19 at the time, dropped down to the 80s153 range. Since then has had some recoveries, a few other sells going on in there, and right now it's kind of back in the middle of those two. Like, I guess you could almost say the average of today's high and today's low is where we're currently trading. And you can see big volume here currently, the 24-hour volume showing at 418,000, which is about 4 times what we've been seeing on average. If we go and just look at the spreadsheet, today is 7/5, and so just looking at 2 days worth of data, and it'll be actually kind of interesting to notice the previous lag between my entries was 5 days. Now we're looking at 2 days, but look at the impact as we get to the right side of the spreadsheet. So in the last 2 days, we've added another 37 holders, currently over 10,400. The market cap for Terareum at 76,330,000 would rank us at 292nd of all cryptocurrencies. And you can see, since I put this together about 45 minutes ago, before I stopped to make macaroni and cheese for my daughter, that was her request. And, you know, being the dad that I am, she's my only girl, and pretty much whatever she wants. I mean, I know that's a small request, but I'm pretty much going to drop what I'm doing. Take care of my daughter. She's my favorite. No offense to the other children in the family. So it's actually had some recovery since I put this together. I was looking at 80s16. Now we're 80s17. And so, you know, hopefully continuing this trend towards recovery of where we started the day. But here's where you can see this, you know, again, 321,000. How the volume on this works is it tracks exactly a 24-hour time period and just gives you that spot check on the volume. So, you know, it's picking up some of last night's volume now, and this would now report over 400,000. The burn has ticked up to 53.69, and you look at this, this was 5 days burn to get to 9 trillion, and here we have 2 days, so we're actually averaging 6 trillion per day in burn, which is about triple what we were seeing in the previous 5 days. So lots of wild stuff going on today. The morning started out for me and for the Terareum team with an AMA. Awesome Austin was there. Milton was there. Actually, Dr. Ramana ended up joining us. And for those of you who are curious, Dr. Ramana was pretty much in a blacked out screen most of the time. First and foremost, it is the middle of the night over there when it's the morning over here, right? It's 11.5 hours difference. So they were right at the midnight hour. I had a chance to talk to Dr. Ramana after the call and found out that he had just worked a 36-hour shift at a medical facility in a rural area in India. And he was absolutely tired, but he did not want to miss the AMA. So he did sit through in the whole thing. And then RD and I had a chance to talk to him, and we sent him to bed, which is where he needed to be. The guy was just absolutely worn out. But really good AMA. Milton gave us some insights into Terapool, the way it's working. Terapool launched yesterday. There are already 7 companies that are looking at launching projects on Terapool. So the team is starting to work with them. Really, really good stuff. It's well worth the watch. I will put a link in this video. It's about 1 hour and 10 minutes long, but my helpful hint to you is if you go to the settings and your playback speed, you can put it in 1.5 speed. Your brain catches up really fast. It sounds totally normal, and you move through the content a lot quicker. And then, of course, you can slow down, rewind, jump back to listen to any parts that you're deeply interested in. I was fascinated by the discussion about Terapool. Also, you could see that the team is very confident that they will have the centralized exchange ready to release sometime in this third quarter. It sounded like late third quarter, potentially the very first part of the fourth quarter, but you could see that there's a lot of confidence coming into this that CEX will launch on time. The other part that I found somewhat fascinating was Dr. Praveen, towards the very end, started talking about a need for regulation and what's going on. And I'll show you how that ties back into an article that was released today by Dr. Praveen. As a matter of fact, we'll just go ahead and jump into that right now. Okay, this was in the Wire, insiderfinance.io, and an article called TerraChain, the Terrarium Ecosystem's Moat, right? Or he talks about it closing a soft loop around the Terrarium ecosystem. And so Dr. Praveen has written multiple articles. In my opinion, this one is the strongest one I've seen so far. And I will tell you, these articles look to me like they take a lot of time and a lot of energy, a lot of mental energy to put these together. You can see if you just look at the his reference section at the bottom, generally speaking, I mean, the amount of information that you have to research to put this, 7-8 minute read article together is strong. And he gives an amazing description of what a blockchain is, what Web3 technology is, and how it works. So if any of you have questions about how blockchain works, this is a great read. I'll be honest, it is pretty high level. So you may have to go through it a couple of different times, but it is it's a strong article. And so what I thought was fascinating is here towards the bottom, there's actually a video link of United States senators talking about regulation that's coming to crypto. And in this, he does talk about how regulation is developing around the world. He talks about countries that are already very well accepting and open to cryptocurrencies, other countries like the United States that can kind of see it coming. They know that they don't want to lean too hard on it because they don't want the technology and the development to go to the more permissive countries, and but that there is a need for regulation. So there is a YouTube video linked with 3 United States congressmen talking about regulation, and specifically they get into what's going on with stable coins and the fact that they might get stablecoin legislation done this year. Now, after seeing what happened with Terra Luna and their stablecoin, I think it's fair to say if you're going to call something a stablecoin, we as investors want to have confidence in the fact that it has stability. And we saw that confidence erode mightily here with the fall of Terra Luna. And of course, since then, it's been kind of a wild ride with that project. But Dr. Praveen was actually present at this meeting where the senators were talking about regulation. And this to me is a huge deal, okay? I think a lot of cryptocurrency projects are trying to figure out what's hot right now and how do we put something out that has a strong appeal right now in this moment so we can gain a lot of adoption and, you know, create some cash, right? Create some major funds or maybe a big pump in a price. But with Terareum, what I'm seeing is a very forward-looking team. They're not necessarily worried about what's happening right at this very moment, but more so what's coming and how do you try to get out ahead of that and be prepared so that you have a project that has staying power. And I'm pretty confident that any project that we're still talking about 5 years from now is going to be a pretty amazing investment for those of us who are involved right now. So we want Terareum to be that long-term project. Now, one of the reasons I'm saying I'm seeing these guys as forward-looking is we started with the CEX, right? Well, there are a lot of centralized exchanges out there. So one of the forward-looking moves that they did is they decided to start Terapool. And in the AMA today, they discussed how one of the potential advantages of having Terapool in advance of the CEX is that projects can put themselves together, get prepared to bring their projects out into the world, and one of their options will be to list directly onto the Terareum exchange. So this is the chess match that the developers are playing. There was some discussion about Terapay today also, which would be a card that would allow you to spend your crypto funds essentially in the currency of your choice around the world. And in my opinion, that is the holy grail for cryptos as a cryptocurrency. Now with Web3, there's all kinds of other potential for development. But when it comes to these tokens that we refer to as cryptocurrencies, until you can freely spend your crypto, you know, the value of it, in my opinion, is not what it should be or not what it could potentially be. So knowing that Terapay is something that they're actively pursuing, and the fact now that we've got a history with this team saying they're going to do something and then delivering, I'm very hopeful for the future. So friends, my Terareum developer friends, keep up the good work. As investors, this is what we want to see. We want a team that's willing to work hard to try to be innovative and bring value to the, quite frankly, massive sacrifices that we make as investors to take risks and chances on these types of investments. All right, before I jump out of this video today, I just want to show you my my reflections for the last 2 days. So again, looking at this was 5 days reflections. This is 2 days reflections. 638 million Terareum tokens received as reflections in the last 48 hours. That brings my total to just under 33 billion in reflections, and at the current prices would be worth about $60, between $55 and $60. So friends, I hope you're doing well. Please check the description of this video for links to Dr. Praveen's article as well as the AMA. Definitely give that AMA a listen. It's a rare opportunity that we have as investors to get to hear directly from the developers what is happening with the project. And it was a great day in terms of just seeing how confident and how collected the team looks. You can tell that they feel like they're on track to deliver the project that they have envisioned. So, folks, I appreciate you stopping by. Check back with me soon. We'll watch our crypto stacks grow.